Hello, and welcome to this Foster Care Institute online training webinar, Positive Parenting. I'm your host, the founder and director of the Foster Care Institute, Dr. John DeGarmo. I am an author, a speaker, a trainer, and most importantly, I'm a parent myself, a parent to over 60 children, adoptive, foster care, biological, parent to so many children. So this is a webinar that is very important to me as well. Indeed, through the years, I've had many children come through my home as young as 27 hours of age and as old as 18 years old. I've had as many as 11 children in my house at the same time. And if you've read some of my books or seen some of my speeches in person, then you also know I've had as many as 7 in diapers in my household as well. So I have had those crunch time moments as a parent. I have been there as a parent when I've been worn out and exhausted. I have been burned out. I have faced children who have suffered from great many traumas and anxieties. And I have wondered myself, how do I best parent these children, particularly when they have misbehaviors? Our goal during this webinar is to bring awareness to the role of positive parenting when caring for children. Whether it's children in foster care or any child in your home, how do we care for children with positive parenting? Our key objectives are to increase the awareness of positive parenting and how it impacts foster parenting, as well as to gain understanding of how to develop and implement positive parenting strategies designed to best aid children and families in crisis. Now, as we have seen through other webinars here at the Foster Care Institute and from a number of my books, we know that when a child is placed into foster care, it is a time of great loss. It is a time of feelings of grief. For these children have been taken from everything they know, their family, their mothers, their fathers, sometimes their siblings, their aunts, their uncles, their cousins, their grandparents. They're taken from their bedrooms, their house, their home, their stuffed animals, their pets, taken from their neighborhoods, sometimes their school, taken from everything they know, many times without any warning. They're taken from everything that is familiar to them, and they're placed into a home that is quite scary, a home that is unfamiliar to them, a family, if you will, a set of foster parents that are strangers to them. It is a time of great fear, of many questions, and to be sure, many anxieties. For many of these children, it's a time of tremendous uncertainty. For some children, as we've seen here at the Foster Care Institute on other webinars, it may be a time of guilt for these children. And for some of these children, they simply may be unable to express themselves as they struggle to deal with the many emotions that swirl inside of them. Indeed, it is a time of confusion. Sometimes children in care may simply not understand why they have been removed from their home and placed into another home, a foster care home. There is confusion. Some children may see it as an illogical move, a move that is simply irrational. There are other times when the children may blame themselves. Sometimes the children feel no one loves them anymore. Did I do something wrong? Does mommy and daddy not love me anymore? They may feel abandoned. Will I ever see my parents again? Will I ever return home again? As a result, this is a time of traumatic stress. Now, the National Children's Traumatic Stress Network defines traumatic stress as this: the physical and emotional response of a child to events that threaten the life or physical integrity of the child or someone critically important to that child. Now, there is a form of complex trauma. Complex trauma occurs when the trauma continues through the repetition of similar events or an accumulation of separate events. Small events that continue to happen over a period of time. Accumulation. Or maybe the same type of event or a similar event happening over and over and over. Now, complex trauma happens over a period of time. And during this period of time, as the trauma continues to unfold, continues to happen to that child, the traumatic events reinforce learning in that child. Now, at this point, you may be asking yourself, why are we looking at this? Well, before we begin to understand how to positive parent, to use those skills of positive parenting, we need to better understand why the child is misbehaving, why we need to try to employ positive parenting skills. So we're looking at some of the reasons why the child might be acting out in a fashion that you may not agree with or approve. Let's look at the 3 E's of trauma. There is the event. The traumatic events include forms of abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. It may include forms of domestic or community violence. It may be an accident, a severe accident that happened to the child that causes trauma. It could be a natural disaster or even a war. The experience. Now, the experience is difficult to measure for the child as it relates to how that child or someone in general reacted to a specific event. Indeed, this may differ from person to person, from you to me. It may differ between cultures or genders. It may differ in age groups because the experience might be different for a young child, for a youth or teenager, for someone in their 20s and 30s, and somebody who is more mature and older. Finally, the last E of trauma is the effect. The reactions a person has to a traumatic event. Now, this experience, this traumatic event, this traumatic experience, if we will, can change or alter a person's well-being. It can alter also their behavior. And we'll be looking at the child's behavior or misbehavior when we examine positive parenting. And that behavior can be the current behavior or even future behavior. And those effects can have a long-term impact on the development of the child. Children in foster care may experience a number of traumatic events. For example, prolonged separation from their birth family and biological family members, the death of a family member, various forms of abuse, as we indicated earlier, sexual, physical, mental, witness of abuse to others. Now, did you know that children in the United States, 5 million children every single year in our country, in the United States of America, are witness of some type of abuse, domestic violence in their own home? Let me say that again. Over 5 million children every single year in the United States witness domestic abuse or domestic violence in their own home, whether it's to themselves or to somebody else, every year. This is a traumatic event. Homelessness can certainly bring about trauma. Drugs and alcohol in family is a traumatic experience. The neglect of the child, the abandonment of the child, or imprisonment of a family member. These are experiences that can lend great trauma to a child. As we have seen in other webinars here at the Foster Care Institute, when a child is removed from one home to another, placement disruptions, emotional, social, and psychological effects take place within that child. Their mental health is threatened with each multiple disruption. Every time that child is disrupted and placed from one home to another home, to another home, to another home, multiple disruptions, their mental health is indeed threatened. And as we have seen here at the Foster Care Institute and the book Helping Foster Children in School, their academic performances are lower than traditional students. So quite simply, children who suffer from trauma are doing the very, very best they can. When that child in your home is misbehaving, when that child in your home is lashing out in anger and frustration because he cannot understand the emotions swirling inside of him, when that child in your home is acting out in a way that you do not approve, remember, these children who are suffering from this trauma are simply doing the best they can. So, how do you help? How do you help that child who is suffering from trauma in your home? Positive parenting. Positive parenting helps to develop and create a strong and to create a committed relationship between both the child and you, the foster parent, the adoptive parent, the biological parent, or some type of adult or caregiver in the child's life. Now, this strong and committed relationship between both of you is based upon really two things: communication and respect. Respect between the child and the parent. Respect for the child from you, the adult, the caregiver, the parent. Finally, positive parenting focuses on helping the child to understand both the what and the why of the discipline and how behavior and as well as self-control. So with positive parenting, you are helping to develop and create a strong relationship between you and the child. And this is based upon communication between you and the child and the respect you give that child, and helps the child to better understand the what and why of discipline and their behavior as well as self-control. Now, first off, with positive behavior, perhaps this is the most important thing you can do. You cannot take the behavior of the child personally. When that child is yelling at you, when that child is cursing at you, when that child is yelling, throwing things, breaking things, spitting at you, threatening to hit you, threatening to run away, whatever it may be, do not take that behavior personally. Remember, that child is filled with anxiety. That child is filled with fear. That child is filled with questions. That child most likely does not know how to process the many emotions that are just enveloping his heart, that are just strangling him, that are just filling him with so much confusion. So once again, when that child is acting out and misbehaving, do not take his behavior personally. It is not a personal attack upon you. So you need to be in control. Positive parenting means you are in control, and you need to make sure you remain in control of the situation. You need to regulate your own emotions. When he's yelling at you, you need to remain calm. When he's saying hateful and nasty things to you or someone in your home, you need to respond in kindness. Do not meet anger with anger. Do not lash out with your own frustrations. You need to be in control of the situation, because when you are in control, it helps a child to calm down, because a child sees that he's not going to be able to rattle you. You need to be patient. You need to be kind. You need to be generous with your love and your compassion, because every child wants and needs a loving parent. Every child wants and needs a patient parent. Every child wants and needs a generous, kind, compassionate parent. And with positive parenting, you need to be all of that. You need to be patient and generous and compassionate and kind and loving. That child deserves it. Even when he's lashing out at you, remember, do not take it personally. He needs you to love him. With positive parenting, it is so important. It is indeed necessary for young children to form a healthy relationship with one main caretaker, with one main adult figure, in order to develop socially and emotionally. That means with positive parenting, you need to form a positive relationship, with that child. So look for ways to spend time with a child each day, individually, each day. If there are 2 or 3 or 4 children in your home, look for opportunities to spend some one-on-one time with that child every single day. Can that be difficult? Yes. Yes, it can. You are busy. Sometimes you're overwhelmed. You have so much to do. But one of the keys of positive parenting is finding finding time to spend alone with that child. Give them the positive emotional attention they need and they crave every day, so they do not seek it out in a negative way. Because if they're not getting that positive attention from you, they're going to find it someplace else, and that can be harmful. Now, this one-on-one time, it can be as little as 10 to 15 minutes every single day. That makes a big difference. Sit down, snuggle up, and read to the child. Ask the child if they can help cook with you. Go on a walk. Play a little bit of ball. Play a game. Work on a puzzle. Sing a story. Sing a song at nighttime. There's so many opportunities for you to spend a little bit of time every single day with that child. And again, as little as 10 to 15 minutes makes a difference. With positive parenting, you need to identify the reason behind the action of that child. There is a reason why the child in your home is misbehaving. Try to identify that reason. Now, for the child, this misbehavior may seem logical, it may seem reasonable, but we know it's not. So determine why the child is behaving in this fashion. Take a moment, step back, watch a child, and try to determine, why is this child behaving in this way? What set the child off? Why is the child upset? Keep in mind and remember, it's not a personal attack upon you. So you need to identify trauma-related needs. Learn and understand how the child and his child's family have been impacted by trauma and trauma events in their life before coming to live with you, because that will give you some insight into why the child is behaving in this way. If need be, one of the keys of positive parenting is recognizing that sometimes you can't do it all by yourself. Find some services for the child that are based on his unique circumstances. And always, when you're working with a child with positive parenting, always use language appropriate conversations. Talk to the child on the child's level or the child's maturity level. When dealing with positive parenting, it's important to understand brain development and age-appropriate behavior. Now, we go into this in great detail on several of our training webinars here at the Foster Care Institute, and I would encourage you to seek those out. But for this session here, it's important that you understand brain development and age-appropriate behavior in regards to positive parenting. Because not only is there a reason for the child's behavior, it is also important to understand how the child's brain develops. You see, young children cannot reason like you and I, as part of the brain is not fully developed for decision making, and they don't understand consequences. When positive parenting, help the child to acknowledge their own feelings. Yes, they may deny they did anything wrong at all. You need to help the child acknowledge that they did do something wrong, that a poor decision was made. This may take some time. This may not happen at once or overnight. But consistently help the child to acknowledge what they did was a poor decision and reassure them that the consequence that they are facing is not to hurt the child, but to help the child understand the importance of good decisions, good behavior, and simply to protect the child. Help them to acknowledge what they're feeling. Say something like, I see that you're upset. I can hear that you're frustrated. It looks to me that you're scared. Acknowledge your feelings and put it into words. Remember when we talked earlier in this webinar about remaining calm, about being in charge? You need to respond this way in positive parenting. Do not yell. Do not be aggressive towards a child. When positive parenting, you need to lower the tone of your voice and the intensity of your voice and instead speak with words of kindness. Speak in tones of compassion. Be patient when you speak to that child and do it in loving terms. Come down to the child's level. If need be, get down on your knees or sit down across from the child. Hold hands if necessary. And again, use that language appropriate words. Use simple words for that child. Sweetheart, I see you're upset. I can see you're angry. Let's talk about it. You're bringing calm to the child. Help that child, when you're working with positive parenting, help that child to develop some breathing techniques and some relation skills, as well as some relaxation skills. Relation skills in building relationships with you, and relaxation skills in learning how to relax. Tell the child it's okay to feel upset. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to not want to live in that home with you as a foster parent. And give words to this child's emotions. Again, use phrases like, I see that you're scared. I see you're upset. You're giving words to their emotions. One of the keys in positive parenting is redirection. Now, redirection is a form of discipline that is becoming more popular in our society. It allows you, the parent, to guide and to steer the child's misbehavior from one that is inappropriate to one that is more appropriate. You see, when a child is redirected, it allows him to explore new opportunities, new experiences, and to learn new skills. We go into great detail about redirection in the Discipline and Children in Foster Care webinar here at the Foster Care Institute, and I would encourage you to watch that webinar. We also go into great detail in the book, The Foster Care Survival Guide, about this as well. So there's a great deal of information for redirection, which is a key of positive parenting in both the webinar, Discipline of Children in Foster Care, as well as the book, Foster Care Survival Guide. I would encourage you again to look those over. Hey, we all like to hear words of praise, right? It doesn't matter how old you are. We all like to hear words of kindness and praise. You need to find ways and opportunities to praise the child in every single way and at all times. Thank you so much for helping me unload the dishwasher. Hey, thanks so much for taking the garbage out. You did a great job. Hey, the cat was so excited when you feed the cat. Thank you for helping out. I really appreciate it when you cleaned up your room. Wow, look at the coloring and the drawing you made. That's fantastic. Wow, look at it. You got an 80 in your spelling quiz. Well done. Hey, what was a favorite part of your day? Tell me about it. I want to hear about it. I loved cooking with you. Thank you so much. So many opportunities for you to find words to encourage the child. They need to hear it from you every single day. The power of praise in positive parenting can never be underestimated. At the same time, catch a child in the act of being good. Look for opportunities when a child is doing the right thing. Look for opportunities when the child is behaving in a positive way and praise them for doing just that right then and there. Sneak up to their room, and if their room is clean or somewhat clean, tell them about it. Tell them how excited you are. When you see them putting away their clothes or telling the truth or keeping calm when their anger might be building, take a moment to praise them for that. So many times the word no is used as a parent. You need to switch that in positive parenting and recognize the power of yes. In other words, don't always be quick to respond with a no or with a negative response. Instead, look for ways to help a child with an acceptable alternative. Can I stay up an hour late tonight? Well, how about this? How about we can either give you an opportunity to stay up 30 minutes late or to read a book. Perhaps you would like to play on the computer some games for a while or play a little bit longer outside for 30 minutes. You're not saying no to an hour, but you're saying yes to other opportunities. All children need routine, and indeed all children thrive on it. And routine is a powerful part of positive parenting. Children need to be in routine. So put in place defined routines at your own home. Before school in the morning times, after school when they come home, before bedtime, and stick to those routines. For example, in my own home, when a child returns home from school, there's a few things they know they have to do. For young children, they come in, they wash their face and hands, they get a cup of water, we sign agendas, we have a healthy snack, we then do homework, it's some playtime outside, we come in for dinner. After dinner, we do a few chores like sweep the floor or clean the table or help with the dishes. It's bath time. It might be a little bit more playtime. It's then book time, and then it's bedtime. It is a routine every day, Monday through Friday, the child is expecting, and it helps them. They thrive on it indeed. Allow the child to be part of the routine. Sweetheart, would you like to help take the garbage out tonight, or would you like to help clean the table? Would you like to help with the dishes or sweep the floor? Would you like to have a bath first, or do you want to read a book first? So allow the child to be part of the routine, and then things happen. We all know things happen, so allow for flexibility when needed in regards to your routine. Perhaps something came up. Perhaps there is a special concert in the park in your area, or maybe they came home late from school, or maybe there's a sporting event or a band concert, or maybe there's a really neat movie on, or a special TV show they want to watch. Allow flexibility when necessary. Positive parenting allows distraction. Learn how to distract a child from engaging in behavior that is not acceptable. If you see a child is about to erupt into anger, you see the signs building, distract them from that. Hey, sweetheart, can you come help me make some cookies? Or can you please help me feed the cat? Hey, can you come over here, please? I need to help. Can you help me with this puzzle? Something like that. Distract them from what might happen or behavior that is not acceptable. Hey, and there's always the opportunity to bring humor. Remember that old saying, laughter is the best medicine. Well, look for ways to bring humor to a situation and to lighten the mood in your home if the misbehavior is occurring. Part of positive parenting is the importance of sleep. Children do need sleep. Quality sleep is uninterrupted sleep, and children need quality sleep. For you see, sleep promotes growth, it helps the heart, it helps fight sickness, it boosts attention span, and it boosts learning. Indeed, teenagers need sleep even more than young children. And if you have a teenager in your home, you know this to be true because it seems they sleep all weekend long, right? Now, if your child is having some trouble sleeping, they're having some type of sleep anxieties, then check out the webinar at the Foster Care Institute on sleep and sleep anxiety. phrase time out, positive parenting uses time in. Time in is a form of discipline when misbehavior occurs. When a child is placed in time in, the child is placed and remains in close proximity to you. They might be sitting on a bench or a stool or a chair near you. They might be in the kitchen at the kitchen table while you are cooking a meal. They might be on a couch in the lounge room while you're folding laundry. It allows them to be close to you instead of away from you, as in time out. You see, in time in, children are likely to feel that their needs are being considered because they're near you and you can talk to them. There is still the connection between the parent and the child before the correction is presented. Children are given time to properly process a range of feelings they might be feeling when they're in time in near you. Finally, parents don't feel out of control or create a power struggle to keep a child in the time out. When you ask that child to stand in the corner in time out, there might be that power struggle. That power struggle often does not exist in time in. Because children do not feel isolated. They do not feel shamed or scared or afraid or guilty. It gives you, the parent, the adult, and the child an opportunity to talk about the real issue, their misbehavior, while they're in time in, while they are near you. We have a whole section about time in the book, The Foster Care Survival Guide. And again, I would encourage you to pick up a copy of that book and read more about time in. It is a great way to positive parent. With positive parenting, child needs to feel safe. Child needs to feel safe. Safety is always a priority. You see, children can be triggered by noises, by the nighttime, by darkness, or other ways that are unexpected. And when they're triggered by these things, misbehavior may occur as a result. So part of positive parenting is to ensure the child is safe and remind the child that he's safe before the misbehavior and the confusion and the emotions swirling inside of them may rise. Another great opportunity for for positive parenting is to help the child to become a problem solver. When the child is arguing with a sibling, or the child is frustrated, the child is acting out in some fashion, encourage them to be a problem solver, to try to figure out the problem themselves. Try to encourage them to find a solution. Again, we go more into problem solving in the book, The Foster Care Survival Guide. And we don't go into great detail here about it simply because of time. In positive parenting, you're always looking for signs that the misbehavior may have about to occur. Record the child's behavior and progress throughout the day so you can better monitor and examine the child's misbehavior that may occur. As we said earlier in positive parenting, provide choices for the child. Would you like to help me with the dishes or sweep the floor? Would you like to read for 30 minutes or watch TV for 30 minutes? Something like that. Give the child the opportunity to make decisions, to give him some sort of he believes he has some type of power, of choices, of decision making. This is part of positive parenting. And of course, always look for new resources about positive parenting and ask for help as well. We also talked earlier about how to look out and identify trauma triggers. Look for patterns in the child. Why is the child acting in this way? Well, you may have noticed a pattern of behavior that leads to the misbehavior. Like in time in and spending time with the child in general every single day, you need to be emotionally available to that child. You need to be physically available to that child. Now, in positive parenting, don't expect the problems to quickly resolve. If the child is using some type of therapy or some type of treatment, this is not going to resolve all the issues either. A parent who uses positive parenting does not expect that simply loving the child to be the quick fix. When you use positive parenting, you're employing all of these skills and strategies because it takes a combination, not just one, but takes a combination. And again, love does not always fix the problem. Now, in positive parenting, you need to allow the child sometimes to be a child. Encourage and allow the child to play. If that means running through the house on occasion, okay, allow the child to do that. If it means coloring and making a mess, okay, allow the child to do that. Encourage it. Encourage the child to draw. If you look at my own home, unfortunately, with 60 plus kids in my house, I have crayon markers on every single wall in my house. Does it frustrate me? Yes, it does at times. But again, I'm allowing and encouraging the child to color, to draw, to play, to use their imagination. Positive parenting allows a child to get dirty. It's okay if they go outside and get a little bit dirty. Allow them to play. Because positive parenting allows a child to go out and use some sort of play therapy. Now, for you, positive parenting means take time for yourself. Because there may be those days, those moments, those times when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you're burned out, when you're at your wits' end. You need to step back sometimes and take some time for yourself. Because if you want to be a positive parent, you got to give yourself some positive attention yourself. Remember this. In positive parenting, how you treat the child is how he will treat himself. We talked about this earlier. Treat the child with compassion, with kindness, with love, with patience, because every child deserves that. And after a while, he will treat himself that way. If you're harsh with a child, he's going to be harsh with himself as well. Yet if you're gentle, if you're respectful, if you're kind and loving to the child, as we've seen in positive parenting, then this is how he's going to treat himself eventually. This may take time. It may take several days, several weeks, several months. It may take several years. Finally, in positive parenting, remember to smile. When he's yelling at you, when he's cursing at you, when he's frustrated, when he's lying, when he's filled with anxiety, when he's filled with fear, when he's filled with questions, don't take it personally. Instead, give that child a reassuring smile, a comforting smile, a loving smile, a patient smile, and a positive smile. For more information on this and other trauma, parenting, behavior, all those kinds of questions you might have as a foster parent, check out the Foster Care Institute. Check out my website, drjohndegarmofostercare.com. Find me on Facebook and Twitter. And if you have questions about this webinar or other webinars, please email me at drjohndegarmo@gmail.com. We look at positive parenting and so many other things in the book, The Foster Care Survival Guide. And you can find at the Foster Care Institute and many good bookstores across the world all of these foster care books. Hey, thank you so much for being part of this important webinar on positive parenting. I understand that what you do as a foster parent is challenging. It is difficult, and there are times when it's overwhelming. I've been there myself. Yet with the skills and strategies of positive parenting, it makes it a little bit easier for you, for the child, and for all involved. What you are doing is changing the world for a child in crisis. And for that, I am most thankful. I'm thankful for you. Thank you for all that you do. For the Foster Care Institute, I'm Dr. John DeGarmo.